Hello, my name's David Lefevre. I'm a teacher from Hackney, and part of my role is to develop unusual sports and sports that attend to children who don't do the mainstream sports. And so I develop things like orienteering and other disc sports and anything that's quirky and odd.
Okay, and so how would you introduce orienteering to someone who have never tried it before?
What age are we? To introduce to somebody who's never tried it before, I'd need to think first of all about the age that I'm looking at.
Okay.
So what age would you suggest?
What children, for example, is now?
As now, these are secondary school children, so they're aged from 12 through to 15. Most of these today, I hasten to add, have done it before with me from the primary schools through. There are some new ones here, but the way to do it is to first of all teach them what an orienteering map is, because it's different from a map they've probably ever seen before, being topographic. Topographic having meaning it's got elements of the type of vegetation and the path systems that may not be on normal maps. They're far more detailed than normal maps. And so I would give them the map, teach them to orientate it so they know what they're looking at, know where they are by putting a finger or a thumb on and looking over the top of it, so everything they're looking over at is in front of them. Then I would explain about the controls. Now we're lucky today that I've got international electronic equipment, and I've put the big flags on, which will help, the big control kites, which will help them with that. And basically then, today they're doing a score event, so they can go to any one of the controls out here in any order they want, and their challenge is to get them in as quick a time as possible. So they're making route choices, they're making context elements of where they can and pathways through to get these in their best possible order in the quickest possible time.
Oh, so there is a choice there, do you know that? So it's not...
I've given something called a score course. So they've got every control on their map, and they can do that in any order they want, which is a good development one, because quite often the newcomers may struggle getting one control, and if they're on a line course, that can completely throw them, because if they don't get it, they'll be disqualified. Here, if they can't find one, they simply move on to another one, and everybody gets some element of success then.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Well,
Holding hands, you two.
is it your first time organizing something like this?
No, I've been organising orienteering since 1981 in Hackney. I've been a teacher in Hackney since 1979, and since 1981 I've organised orienteering to different levels. This is my first World Orienteering Event Day, because it's the first one, and I organised it because I thought we ought to. Every year I run 2 orienteering leagues in Hackney for primaries and secondaries, one in the summer, which starts in the beginning of June coming up, and will run through over 6 events to July, and then one in the autumn which will start in October and run through till November, and they will be primary school and secondary school on the same day. And this year in the autumn one we had 800 different children take part.
How was the interview? I know that in London, not very many events happening today, on the World Orienteering Day. Why do you think so?
I think the problem here was that World Orienteering Day this year is this week, and this week in schools is very much the beginning of testing season. So the primary schools have got what are known as the Year 6 SATs, and some of the Year 2s are doing those as well, and so schools are very reticent about letting staff members and children out during that time, because they're used to look after the exams, and so it's a bit of a problem with this week. And I'm not blaming anybody for that, because this World Orienteering Day is being organised by the Finnish Orienteering Society or Association, so there's no reason they should know about our SATs.
And it's been like quite a lot of rain today.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. The weather today has been, shall we say, interesting, and I've had 5 schools pull out today because of the weather. Whether that was because of the children and the weather, or because of the teachers and the weather, I don't know. But The schools that turned up are the ones who are regulars, and they are very trusting on safety and all the things we put in place for that.
Okay, about volunteering in general. It's not an Olympic kind of sport, as you know. Why do you think it's that?
Ironically, it should be an Olympic sport because it is a pure sport. It's not reliant on equipment, it's not reliant on... It's very much an individual sport, even though they do have team events. I think the problem comes with where the Olympics are now. Olympics are very much media driven and televised, and orienteering is quite difficult by its very nature to televise. Although the World Championships in Scotland during last August, they did a very good job of actually televising it with cameras on strings or on ropes going through the forest, and high-mounted cameras, and also cameras on drones in the more open areas. So it is possible now, and I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be in the future an Olympic sport, because it is very much amateur and exactly what the Olympic ideals are about.
Now, there's the spectacle.
Yes.
Now, about, again, World Orienteering Day. Do you think it's going to happen next year? Do you think it's going to be a tradition?
I think that's a measure of success. Whether it happens next year will be down to who's judged success. In terms of organising it, I suspect for the International Orienteering Federation, it hasn't taken much organisation. They've had a website, they've had somebody who's been collating centrally on software, and it's people like myself and the others around the world who are on the ground doing this voluntarily that are bearing the brunt of this. When I left my school at midday today, there had been 250,000 people taking part in events already today, starting in New Zealand at about 9 o'clock our time last night. So I think in those terms it's successful. There is a date in the calendar for next year already. I think it's off the top of my head, the week of the 21st of May, which will help with the testing regime in this country.
Okay, that's it then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.